Welcome back, everyone. This is the fifth in a series of tips from the In the Field section of my new book, The AMC Guide to Outdoor Digital Photography. And in today's tip, I'll be talking about composition and perspective, visual depth, and scale. Now, one of the big choices you have to make as a photographer is what lens to use. And wide-angle lenses offer a really cool perspective. They take in a big part of the landscape, and they have this great depth of field where you can keep your foreground sharp and your background sharp. And it's really sort of the lens of choice for big landscapes. Now, this works really well if you keep your horizon up in the top of the frame. And what that does is it stretches out your foreground, giving more visual depth to the photo. But it really only works well if you have a strong foreground element down in the bottom third of the scene. So look for something interesting to include in that bottom third. And what this does is it really sort of involves the viewer with the place. They really get a sense of place. They feel like they're standing there with you when you took the photo, and they can reach out and touch the landscape. So it's great for involving viewers with the scene. Now, on the other hand, telephoto lenses compress the landscape in a photo, so things look closer together than they do in reality. And instead of involving your viewer with the landscape, it's more like they drove up to the scenic view and were looking out at the landscape. Now, this can be okay. I love using telephoto lenses for zooming in and picking out really interesting diagonals and S-curves and graphical elements in the scene that make beautiful shapes and things like that. So telephoto lenses can really be good for that. And they also are good for making, things like mountain ranges seem as big as you're feeling by zooming in and making sure they fill the frame. And that gets to the idea of scale. And an important part of giving appropriate scale to objects in your photos is by making sure there's an object of known size in the picture. So with that, landscape of the mountain range, it often will work better if you have, say, a person in the lower third of the frame that looks small, but you know how big that person is, and that way the mountains look a lot bigger. And you can use objects of known size for creating a sense of scale, either big or small. And it's a really important thing to do unless you're creating sort of abstract photographs where you don't care if people know how big things are. So that's this week's tip. Go out there and play with perspective and visual depth and scale and see how much fun you have making new and different photos. For more photo tips and to learn about my new book, The AMC Guide to Outdoor Digital Photography, visit monkmanphoto.com.